Okay, so Capacity Europe 2025 brought together, I think, about 3,500 senior leaders
Mm.
from over 100 countries. Just be good to understand, I suppose, how this sort of sets the stage for your next event, what we can expect from Capacity Middle East.
Yeah, definitely. So Europe went really well for us. As we were really excited. It was a record-breaking year. We're expecting the same for Capacity Middle East. We're publicly committing to 3,500 people on site. I think as a team, we're all pushing for 4,000. We really think there's a lot of growth in the market. So we're really excited. I think over the last few years, we've become more and more international. I mean, the largest group at the event now is coming from Europe, only by about 1% more than the Middle East. But it's really showing how the event's emerging as a global deal-making hub. Um, and at the same time, similar trend we've seen is more and more data center operators coming to the event, where they're securing site connectivity, selling space to telcos, whatever it might be. But off the back of that, and I think obviously the global boom in AI that we're all seeing, we're launching Datacloud Middle East, co-located with Capacity Middle East, which we're really excited for, where we'll continue to bring together those data center operators, but bringing slightly broader teams from them, more the operational, technical teams, along with the hyperscale site selection teams, and then the whole value chain for them from power, cooling, construction, design. And then what's really exciting for us with the networks and data centers, we've got the whole range of digital infrastructure in one place. So we're really excited for Capacity and Data Cloud Middle East this year. Mm.
Yeah, and clearly the Middle East region, as you've already said, sort of globally, it's an exciting time, but the Middle East region is continuing to strengthen its position as a global digital infrastructure
Mm.
hub. And have you got any thoughts as to how you see the region's role evolving further when it comes to international connectivity and data center infrastructure?
I think the region's always been, as you said, a vital hub for connectivity between Europe and Asia. Obviously, there's been a few cable cuts over the last year or so, which is putting more and more attention on those routes and the resiliency there. So we're seeing new routes being explored, especially up through Iraq, which we've got a whole pre-event day on now. So on the network side, I think it's about more capacity, resiliency, new routes, which is all great to hear about at the event. And then over the year, we've seen announcements like Stargate UAE, endless announcements from Humane in Saudi Arabia, and the data center market is really booming to support AI. I think critically for our event, well, and the region, we're seeing the region emerging as a home for compute for adjacent markets, which again brings together those networks that are needed for sort of nations, whether it's in Africa, bits of Asia, accessing AI services in the Middle East. And then obviously the AI data centers needed there within the region. So it's all coming together very nicely.
Again, over the past few years, Capacity Middle East, you have grown significantly as a premier event for developers, hyperscalers, investors. Any particular thoughts? I mean, obviously, you've mentioned certain things going on, but do you have any particular thoughts as to what's driving the growth in the region? Is there any, clearly
Mm.
AI is a global phenomenon, but and there anything else going on that's driving the growth?
I think it's almost a step above that. Each of the sort of Gulf states have a regional transformation goal, looking to transform their whole economies away from fossil fuels into advanced digital economies, whether that's sort of through fintech, autonomous vehicles, and then obviously AI. All of that's dependent on having world-class digital infrastructure. Then when you couple that with sort of well-capitalized investors, sovereign wealth funds, and then the operators in the region, that's, I think, a recipe for that boom that's really driven the growth of our event. I'd like to say it's all down to us, but I think the region's got such a perfect positioning for this boom at the moment. That, well, it's partly down to us, I think, the event growing, but definitely it's just the right moment for the Middle East.
Okay, we mentioned AI. There's other things like edge computing, next gen networks. They are sort of having an impact, reshaping digital infrastructure globally, uh, as well as those, I guess, or you know, those entirely. What are the
Mm.
trends you expect that the Capacity Middle East event is going to be discussing? I say, is it the usual suspects, or are there other things you're going to be looking at?
I think the overall trend across the event for sort of both parts, data cloud and capacity, is just growth and meeting the demand, which is a great trend to have across the event, whether that's the international carriers, the data centers. On the capacity side, I think you'll hear more about upcoming subsea systems, protecting those with more resiliency. advanced network automation solutions, the integration of satellite and terrestrial networks, and then some of those usual suspects in there around sort of messaging and voice, and so much more. On the data cloud side, we'll be covering everything from getting the data centers actually built, keeping them cool, where we're partnering with BP Castrol on a liquid cooling session, among some others, looking at how the region's operators are financing their expansions and then touching on some adjacent markets as well, like India, where we're seeing a lot of interest in the event. Mm.
Okay, and then I guess we can't have a data center conversation or infrastructure conversation without talking a little bit about sustainability.
Mm.
Um, Clearly, there's a lot of investment going on as well. So I guess they're key priorities sort of across the industry. Are these themes resonating in the Middle East? And are you sort of covering them in any particular ways, at the event? So sort of sustainability, energy efficiency, and the sort of need for further investment.
Definitely. I think sustainability maybe is talked about a little less over the last few years. But I think the goals are definitely still there from most of the key players in the region and beyond. And to me, energy efficiency and sustainability go hand in hand. The less power your data center uses, the more sustainable it is. I think we've seen that obviously the higher temperatures in the region have put PUEs slightly higher than some of the sort of cooler markets like the Nordics. But we've got lots of content and companies at the event looking at how we're sort of driving energy efficiency and sustainability, whether that's sort of operators talking about some of the novel approaches they've had within their sites, or the solutions providers showing off on the expo floor some of their latest offerings and talking about how they're supporting those operators with energy efficiency and sustainability. And then on the investment side, and the demand for capital and digital infrastructure is just insatiable. I think every week we see a new announcement, or multiple a week even. So it's a key theme across both sides of the event. We'll be looking at sort of how each of the asset classes are stacking up. As the data centers, I think of the big shiny asset class at the moment. And maybe sort of towers have lost a little bit of the shine. But that changing? I think we've noticed more investors talking about towers. Subsea, there's been big investments in the region. So comparing each of those asset classes a little bit, and then also comparing what returns are looking like in the region compared to other markets and the role of the international capital in the Middle East. On the data center side, something really interesting we've noticed is how many of the region's operators are looking to expand beyond the Middle East, where we're covering how the financing of that's going to work on our agenda. And looking at, is there an increasing role for international investors and the classic investment banks there, rather than necessarily some of the sovereign and local funds in the Middle East, and tying in that more global approach to the investment there. And so we're really excited for, well, sustainability, energy efficiency, and investment across the agenda at the event.
Again, one other topic that's worthy of note, I guess, is the skills gap. Still a challenge globally for the industry. You've got the sort of older folks disappearing and not being replaced fast enough, and the industry's expanding. So I guess it's almost a perfect storm. So how is your event helping the region attract, develop, and even retain the sort of workforce of today and also into the future?
Definitely. Across Tokoroco and all our events, we push talent and digital infrastructure. We have a talent and digital infrastructure program that exists to give education to young talent, inspire people into digital infrastructure. I think it's almost people aren't always aware of it as a career path. So by bringing people into the events, showing them the exciting industry that we all, well, and certainly I hadn't heard of it before I started, and now I can't get enough. That bringing them into that and showing them the industry is really important to us. To support that, all students, whether they're at sixth forms, colleges, or universities, can apply for a free of charge pass to all our events. But more specifically at Middle East, talent's a big focus for it. Our final day, we're just covering talent in digital infrastructure, whether that's looking at sourcing talent, upskilling people in the industry, or just retaining people. As you said, there's a bit of a retirement cliff coming. So looking at some of those options there, whether that's a lot of people working part-time to stay in the industry, more knowledge sharing. And we're going to do that through panel discussions, interactive roundtables, and hopefully some workshops as well. So we're really excited for the talent side of the event.
Okay, and maybe just in finishing, clearly we've covered quite a
Mm.
lot of what's going to be happening, but can you give us a bit of a sort of flavor preview of what attendees can look forward to,
Mm.
whether it's the themes, partnership, any announcements, anything new? Just yeah, give us some highlights, I guess.
Definitely. I think I managed to slip most of the exciting
Well,
new features
yeah.
into the conversation already. But on our pre-event day, so on the 9th of February, we have a Digital Infra Leaders Summit, which brings together 40 to 50 C-level execs from owners and operators of digital infrastructure assets. And those have been really popular over the last few years, getting those sort of key leaders into the room together and helping them address the sort of critical problems they're all facing. So that's always a really popular part of that. Alongside that, we have our Iraq pre-event day, where we're looking at both the opportunity within Iraq and building that northern route through Iraq, providing that additional resiliency for international connectivity through the region. When we get into the main event on the 10th, 11th, and 12th, the biggest thing for us is the launch of Datacloud Middle East. Uh, the opportunity there for the region is just massive, and so we're delighted to be supporting that with support from key operators who have been at the event for many years, but helping us launch this, bringing in new parts of the industry, whether that's different parts of hyperscalers or the supply chain, who are key to enabling getting those data centers built. On announcements at the event, I think you'll have to come or sign up to our newsletters. But for the first time, we've launched an MOU signing stage, which is something we've been asked for several years now, but we're really excited to be able to add that in. So we'll have a platform for companies signing partnerships at the event, where we can sort of support with the press releases there, get some great photos, and really help drive awareness of some of the deal making that's happening at the event. So that's going to be another busy part of the exhibition. Hmm.
Okay, no, it's been fantastic to chat, and thanks for giving us
Hmm.
a great flavor of what's going on at the event and your thoughts on, some of the industry developments as well. So, James, really appreciate your time. Thank you.
No, thank you, Philip. Thanks for having me on. It's been really good talking to you.